In a world that keeps pulling your attention, demanding your reactions, and feeding off your emotional responses, remember this: a mind that reacts to everything is a mind that never learns to control itself. Most people suffer not because life is cruel, but because they hand over their peace to every little disturbance around them. A comment, a look, a rumor, a delay, a disappointment, everything shakes them. But you are here to learn the opposite. You are here to master the art that separates warriors from wanderers, the art of non-reaction. When you stop reacting to everything, life stops hurting you so easily. When you stop reacting, you begin living from strength, not from emotion. And when you stop reacting, nobody controls you except you. Let me show you how. 1. Your reaction is your real enemy, not the situation. Many people spend their whole lives blaming life for their suffering, but the truth is far more direct and far more uncomfortable. It is not life that hurts you most. It is the way you respond to life. The situation is rarely the true source of your pain. It is your reaction, the stories you create in your mind, the emotional storms you allow to rise, the meaning you attach to events that actually causes the damage. Life will always present you with challenges. People will always have opinions. The world will always include friction, conflict, delay, rejection, misunderstanding, disappointment, loss, and uncertainty. These things cannot be removed. They are part of the human journey. But what destroys your peace is not the event itself. It is the way your mind interprets and explodes that event. When someone calls you weak, the insult itself is nothing more than sound waves traveling through the air. But the moment your ego jumps in, the moment you take it personally, the moment you begin to react from insecurity instead of clarity, that is when the pain begins. When something in your life goes wrong, maybe a plan fails, a relationship changes, or an opportunity closes, the setback itself is just a change in direction. But your fear reacts faster than your intelligence, and suddenly the situation becomes heavier, darker, and more emotional than it needs to be. When you make a mistake, the mistake is simply an event, something to learn from. But your anxiety reacts first, creating stress, tension, guilt, and self-punishment long before patience and wisdom have a chance to speak. This is how the mind works when it is untrained. The event is small, but the reaction is enormous. The world throws a pebble at you, but your mind turns it into a mountain. The problem is small when it begins, but your reactivity adds layers of fear, ego, overthinking, and emotional noise that were never part of the original situation. The pain you feel does not come from the world. It comes from your interpretation of the world. It comes from the meaning you attach, the assumptions you create, the stories you tell yourself, and the way you emotionally attack yourself from within. This is why learning to pause before reacting is one of the most powerful forms of self-discipline. When you pause, even for a moment, you interrupt the automatic emotional chain reaction that normally takes control of your mind. In that pause, your intelligence has room to breathe. Your awareness returns. Your clarity rises. The problem shrinks back to its real size instead of the exaggerated version your emotions try to create. And when you train yourself to stop reacting altogether, when you learn to observe instead of explode, to respond with calm instead of impulse, something incredible happens. Most problems dissolve before they even have a chance to grow. Most conflicts end before they begin. Most insults lose their sting. Most setbacks transform into lessons instead of suffering. Remember this truth: life is not hurting you. Your uncontrolled reactions are. The world is not attacking you. Your mind is attacking itself. Once you understand this, you finally begin to take back your power. And once you take back your power, life becomes lighter, calmer, and far less painful, not because the world changed, but because you did. 2. You gain power the moment you choose silence over emotion. People often believe that power comes from speaking louder, reacting faster, or proving themselves in every situation. They think strength is measured by how quickly they respond, how sharply they defend themselves, or how aggressively they push back when something offends them. But this belief is rooted in insecurity, not mastery. Real power is not loud. Real power is not emotional. Real power is not reactive. Real power is the ability to remain calm in moments where others lose control, to stay centered when others fall apart, and to hold your inner peace even when the world tries to shake it away from you. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the highest form of control a person can have over themselves. When you stay silent, you are not running away from conflict. You are not surrendering. You are not being passive. You are choosing to observe instead of react. You are choosing to understand instead of explode. You are choosing to protect your energy instead of wasting it on battles that do not matter. Silence gives you space to think clearly, to see the truth behind the moment, and to respond from intelligence rather than emotion. Imagine someone tries to provoke you with their words. They insult you, mock you, or try to make you feel small. If you instantly react with anger, you are playing their game. You are moving exactly the way they want you to. You are giving them control over your emotions. But if you stay silent, if you breathe, if you choose not to respond from your ego, they suddenly lose their power. They expected a reaction, and you gave them none. They tried to pull you into their chaos, and you stayed rooted in your calm. That moment of silence is not emptiness, it is strength. It is discipline. It is a message that says, I do not dance to your emotions. I move from my own center. Silence forces people to confront themselves. It makes them question their intentions. It makes them wonder why they could not shake you. And most importantly, silence protects your mind from absorbing unnecessary negativity. When you choose silence over an emotional reaction, you are choosing peace over noise, clarity over confusion, and wisdom over impulse. Life becomes easier when you stop reacting to everything instantly. Your mind becomes lighter. Your decisions become smarter. Your relationships become healthier. You stop wasting energy on arguments you don't need, explanations that don't matter, and emotions that don't serve you. You become harder to manipulate because people cannot predict your response. You become calmer because you are no longer controlled by temporary feelings. You become stronger because your stability becomes your shield. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of self-control. When you learn to use silence the way a warrior uses a sword, with precision and intention, you stop being pulled into every emotional storm that passes by. You begin to rise above situations that once disturbed you. You begin to protect your peace as if it is your greatest treasure. And once you master this, you will realize something powerful. The moment you choose silence over emotion, you stop giving the world the power to control you, and you reclaim the power that was always yours. 3. The world cannot manipulate you when you stop reacting. One of the biggest reasons people suffer emotionally is because they are far too easy to influence. Their moods change based on what others say, their peace disappears based on what others do, and their decisions shift based on how others behave. This happens because they react instantly to everything around them. When your emotions are easily triggered, you become a puppet that anyone can control. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment you train yourself to pause and remain steady, you become someone who cannot be manipulated, pushed, or controlled by anyone. People test you not because they care about the truth, but because they want to see how easily you can be moved. They poke at your weaknesses to see if your emotions will explode. They try to provoke you because they know exactly which buttons to press. They throw negativity at you not to attack you, but to observe your reaction. The world is full of people who feed on emotional responses. When you react, you give them fuel. When you don't, you starve their power. Imagine someone insults you directly, expecting you to respond with anger. If you react emotionally, They know they have access to your mind. They know you are sensitive to their words. They know they can control your state. But when you remain calm, when you refuse to react, when you respond with nothing but composure, they are left powerless. They lose their weapon. They lose their advantage. You walk away untouched while they stand confused because their attempt to break you failed completely. The same pattern appears in everyday life. Someone ignores you, and you react with insecurity. Someone disagrees with you, and you react with ego. Someone disappoints you, and you react with frustration. Someone leaves you out, and you react with self-doubt. The reaction itself becomes the real destruction. The event was neutral. Your response made it painful. When you stop reacting, you become unpredictable. People cannot read you or measure you. They cannot figure out how to trigger you because nothing triggers you anymore. You develop a kind of internal armor that cannot be cracked by opinions, insults, delays, or disappointments. This does not mean you become emotionless. It means you become emotionally disciplined. You feel everything, but you do not let those feelings control your behavior. A reactive person is easy to defeat. A calm person is impossible to manipulate. When you stop reacting, your presence alone becomes powerful because others sense that you are not someone who can be moved by cheap tactics or emotional games. Your mind becomes your own territory, not a playground for others to run through. Non-reactivity is not passive. It is not softness. It is strategic. It is powerful. It forces the world to respect your boundaries because it teaches people they cannot enter your inner world without your permission. When you do not respond to provocation, people stop trying to provoke you. When you do not respond to manipulation, manipulators step away. When you do not respond to negativity, negative people lose interest in you. Your calm becomes your shield. In the end, the world cannot manipulate a person who has mastered their reactions. And when you reach this level of mastery, life becomes far more peaceful, not because the world became kinder, but because you became untouchable. 4. When you react less, you see more. Most people move through life with a fog over their eyes, not because the world is unclear, but because their own reactions blur their vision. When you react too quickly, your mind becomes noisy. Your emotions take over. Your judgment becomes distorted, and you stop seeing things for what they truly are. You see them through the lens of fear, anger, insecurity, or ego. And when your perception is clouded, even the smallest situation can feel overwhelming. But the moment you stop reacting instantly, something powerful begins to happen. Your vision becomes sharp, your awareness increases, and you start to understand life with a level of clarity that reactive people never experience. Reactivity is like shaking a glass of water. The more you shake it, the cloudier it becomes. But when you stop shaking it and allow it to become still, all the noise settles to the bottom and the water becomes clear. The same is true for your mind. When life shakes you and you react with anger, panic, or frustration, you cannot see the truth of the situation. You see only the storm inside you. But when you pause, when you stay calm, when you let the emotional dust settle, the situation reveals its true shape, and the solution that was hidden becomes visible. Many people destroy opportunities because they react too quickly. They misjudge people because they react emotionally instead of observing carefully. They make the wrong decisions because their fear speaks louder than their reason. They get into unnecessary arguments because their ego responds faster than their wisdom. This is what happens when the mind is not trained. The reaction leads the moment, not the understanding. But when you learn to delay your response, even by a few seconds, your entire life begins to change. You begin to understand the intentions behind words instead of reacting to their surface. You start seeing patterns in situations instead of falling for the first emotional trigger. You understand the motives of people instead of assuming their actions are personal. You become more strategic, more centered, and far more intelligent in your decisions. There is a small gap, almost invisible, between what happens and how you respond. Most people rush through that gap without noticing it. They let their impulses drive their actions. But warriors, thinkers, and masters of the mind use that gap with precision. They pause, they analyze, they breathe, they choose their response instead of letting the moment choose it for them. That gap is the birthplace of wisdom. It is where clarity forms, where strength emerges, and where emotional maturity is built. When you react less, you begin noticing truths that were always there but hidden beneath your emotional storms. You see which people actually care and which only pretend. You see which problems deserve your energy and which are illusions created by your own fear. You see which opportunities are real and which are traps dressed as possibilities. You see the difference between what your ego wants and what your soul needs. And perhaps most importantly, when you stop reacting, you begin to see yourself clearly. You notice your own patterns. You notice how much of your suffering comes from your habits, your insecurities, and your fears, not from the world. And when you see yourself clearly, you gain the power to change. Reactivity makes your world smaller and darker. Calm awareness makes it larger and brighter. When you react less, you see more. And when you see more, you live better, decide better, and grow faster. That is the true power of non-reaction. It opens your eyes to a reality that was always waiting for you. 6. Learn to let things pass through you, not into you. One of the greatest mistakes people make is allowing every disturbance, every comment, every setback, and every small inconvenience to enter their mind and stay there. They treat every situation as if it deserves a room inside their head. They absorb negativity, they collect insults, they replay disappointments, and they let the smallest issues take root like weeds in a garden that was meant for peace. This habit slowly destroys their mental strength, steals their clarity, and makes their life far heavier than it needs to be. But true mental mastery begins when you learn the art of letting things pass through you instead of letting them sink into you. Life will always bring moments that are unpleasant. Someone will misunderstand you, someone will disrespect you, something won't go your way, plans will break, people will disappoint you. But these events only become painful when you carry them. A short moment turns into an entire day. One interaction turns into hours of overthinking. One comment becomes a dent in your self-worth. The problem was temporary, but you made it permanent by absorbing it. A warrior does not absorb everything. A warrior doesn't cling to every emotional ripple. A warrior doesn't turn every small moment into a self-created burden. Instead, he allows life to flow around him, not through him. When someone says something negative, he lets the sound reach him, but not enter him. When a setback happens, he feels the discomfort, but he doesn't let the fear take root inside. When an unexpected problem arises, he handles it with clarity, then lets it go. This is not emotional numbness. This is emotional intelligence. It is the understanding that not everything deserves access to your mind or influence over your peace. Think of your mind like a clear river. When you allow negativity to enter, the water becomes muddy, heavy, slow, and dark. But when you allow negativity to pass without holding it, the river stays clean, flowing, and alive. Stones may fall into the river, but it does not stop. Leaves may land on the surface, but they continue floating until the river carries them away. This is how your mind should operate, not resisting life, not clinging to life, but flowing with life. Most people hold on to things far longer than the event itself. An argument that lasted 2 minutes becomes anger that lasts 2 days. A small rejection turns into a story of self-doubt that lasts 2 years. Someone's rude behavior becomes a wound they reopen again and again in their memory. They relive moments that were meant to be brief, giving them more power than they ever deserved. The past stays alive only because they refuse to let it die. Letting things pass through you is the opposite of emotional attachment. It is recognizing that most things in life are not worth keeping inside your mind. It is understanding that peace depends not on controlling life, but on not allowing life to control you. When you let things pass, you protect your energy, you protect your mind, you protect your inner strength. You maintain a quiet space inside yourself where clarity can live and wisdom can grow. And something extraordinary happens when you practice this consistently. You become unshakable. Not because nothing happens to you, but because nothing stays inside you unless you choose it. You become someone who can confront difficulty without being overwhelmed by it. You can face disrespect without absorbing insecurity. You can experience pain without becoming defined by it. Problems may rise like waves, but you let each wave pass without drowning in it. This is emotional freedom. This is what makes a person powerful. Not the ability to fight every battle, but the ability to walk through battles without letting them stain your soul. When you let things pass through you, you move through life lighter, faster, and more focused. You stop carrying the unnecessary. You stop feeding the unworthy. You stop allowing the world to take residence inside your mind. Your mind is sacred. Not everything deserves to live there. Let life pass through you. Let moments come and go. Take what strengthens you and release what weakens you. That is how you become free. That is how you become strong. That is how you master the art of not reacting. 7. The less you react, the more untouchable you become. There comes a point in life where you realize that the world is not going to stop testing you. People will talk, situations will shift, stress will rise, and life will confront you with moments that push your patience, your ego, and your emotional stability. You cannot stop these waves from coming, but you can become the kind of person who remains standing, unshaken, untouched. This level of strength is not achieved by fighting every wave, but by learning how not to be moved by them. When you reduce your reactions, when you stop responding to every emotion, every disturbance, every insult, and every negative force that tries to pull you in, you rise into a state where life hits you but cannot break you. You become untouchable, not because the world softens, but because you harden your self-control. The truth is simple yet hard to swallow. Suffering increases every time you react without thinking. Pain sharpens every time you emotionally surrender to a situation that never deserved that much power. People lose control of your mind only because you allow their words, their actions, and their opinions to become personal battles inside you. When you are reactive, anyone can influence you. A comment changes your mood. A delay frustrates you. A failure discourages you. A disagreement shakes your confidence. You lose yourself in moments that should not even matter. But when you begin to discipline your reactions, everything changes. The same situations appear, but they no longer break you. The same people speak, but they no longer have access to your emotions. The same challenges rise, but they no longer weaken your spirit. Life stays the same, but you are no longer the same. Non-reactivity is not a sign that you don't care. It is a sign that you care so deeply about your peace, your clarity, and your growth that you refuse to give the world permission to disturb them. When you stop reacting, you protect your inner world like a warrior guarding a sacred temple. You choose which battles deserve your energy and which ones are nothing more than noise. Most people waste their strength defending their ego, arguing over nonsense, proving their worth to those who do not matter, and fighting situations that do not deserve a second of their life. But a person who wants to become untouchable must understand that not reacting is not avoidance, it is evolution. It is choosing a mindset that places your growth above your impulses. Imagine someone disrespects you. Before, you would react instantly, letting your emotions take control. Now, you remain calm. seeing the insult for what it is, a reflection of their character, not yours. Imagine life disappoints you, something falls apart, something is delayed, something slips out of your hands. Before, you would panic or complain. Now, you adapt and shift, realizing that reacting emotionally will not change the situation, but responding intelligently will. Imagine someone leaves your life. Before, you would feel abandoned. Now, you understand that not everyone is meant to stay, and not every loss is a loss. You start to see life with a maturity that makes your heart stronger and your mind clearer. Becoming untouchable is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming stable. It is about developing an internal strength that external chaos cannot penetrate. When you reach this state, people notice. They feel something different about you. They sense that you are no longer easily influenced, no longer emotionally available for drama, no longer fragile, no longer dependent on validation, and no longer playing the same emotional games that control most people. You walk into a room with a calm that others cannot decode. You handle challenges with a quiet power that others cannot match. You speak less but with more intention. You move slower but with more purpose. You live with a level of self-control that becomes your ultimate advantage. And the beautiful part is this: when you stop reacting, negative things begin to lose interest in you. Drama stops chasing you. Stress stops finding you. Toxic people stop choosing you. Emotional battles stop surrounding you. Your silence becomes a shield. Your calm becomes a weapon. Your restraint becomes your dominance. You are no longer accessible to nonsense, and nonsense cannot survive around a person who has raised their standards that high. Life hurts less, not because it becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Non-reactivity transforms you. It turns you from someone who is shaped by the world into someone who shapes their own world. It turns you from someone who suffers unnecessarily into someone who moves intelligently. It turns you from someone who feels attacked into someone who is above the attack. When you master the art of not reacting, you do not just find peace, you become the kind of person who cannot be shaken by anything less than what truly matters. This is what it means to be untouchable. Your mind becomes your fortress, your emotions become disciplined, and your peace becomes non-negotiable. The world will continue its chaos, but you will walk through it like a warrior who has learned that power is not in reacting to everything. It is in knowing that not everything deserves a reaction. If you look closely at your life, you will see that your greatest breakthroughs have never come from moments of emotional chaos. They came from moments when you finally became calm enough to see clearly. This is why mastering the art of non-reaction is not just a skill, it is a transformation of the self. When you stop reacting to everything around you, you stop giving the world permission to control your inner world. You begin living from your center, rather than living from your impulses. You stop letting other people's noise drown your inner wisdom. You stop letting temporary emotions sabotage permanent growth. You stop handing your peace to situations that do not deserve it. Remember, strength is not measured by how loudly you speak or how quickly you respond. Strength is measured by the discipline of your inner state. Most people fight battles outside because they have lost the battle inside. Most people are exhausted not because life is heavy, but because their reactions make life heavier than it is. When you learn to respond with clarity instead of emotion, when you learn to observe instead of explode, when you learn to protect your inner world instead of giving it away, you rise into a version of yourself that few ever experience. Non-reaction does not mean weakness. It means maturity. It means control. It means freedom. It means choosing peace over drama, clarity over confusion, strength over impulse, and wisdom over ego. Every time you choose not to react, you train your mind to stay in command. Every time you choose silence instead of emotional chaos, you sharpen your presence. Every time you choose calmness, you become someone the world cannot shake. Life will continue to test you. People will continue to challenge you. Situations will continue to change in ways you cannot predict. But your power lies not in changing the world. Your power lies in changing your relationship with it. When you no longer react from insecurity, fear, or ego, you become someone who moves with intention, not impulse. You become someone who sees with clarity, not distortion. You become someone who remains stable, even when the world is unstable. This is the essence of true strength. Not the strength to dominate others, but the strength to dominate yourself. Not the strength to win every argument, but the strength to avoid the ones that steal your energy. Not the strength to fight every battle, but the strength to choose your battles wisely. The greatest warriors are not those who react to every strike. They are the ones who conserve their power for what truly matters. So walk through life with this mastery. Respond with intention, not emotion. Protect your peace as if it is sacred. Let go of what does not matter. Let life pass through you instead of into you. And understand that the more control you gain over your reactions, the less control the world has over you. This is how you become untouchable. This is how suffering loses its grip. This is how you grow into the strongest version of yourself. And this, ultimately, is the true art of not reacting.